Some cruise ships are so bad that even loyal passengers say, never again. So here's the real question. What if the ship you're about to book is one of them? Every year, thousands of cruise reviews quietly stack up online. Some rave, others read like someone's stress diary at sea. To separate bad luck from real patterns, we focused on the sources that never sugarcoat anything. We checked verified Cruise Critic reviews, CDC sanitation scores, and complaint trends passengers repeat on every sailing. We weren't hunting for one bad trip, we were looking for consistency. Cabins that smell off, dining rooms that can't keep up, decks packed from sunrise to sunset, service swinging from amazing to exhausted. Major incidents like fires or power failures only counted if they permanently damaged a ship's reputation. This isn't a "I hate this ship" list. Every vessel has good weeks, but some have patterns even loyal fans warn each other about. So before you chase a flashy deal, make sure you know the story behind the ship carrying that price tag. MSC Seaside didn't just disappoint passengers, it failed a surprise CDC inspection with a 67 out of 100, one of the lowest sanitation scores in modern cruising. It forces one uncomfortable question. What was going on backstage while the marketing promised perfection? When Seaside launched in 2017, MSC promoted it as the future of warm weather cruising. Open-air decks, glass skywalks, a South Beach vibe at sea. And visually, the ship absolutely delivers that. But the 2023 inspection pulled back the curtain. Inspectors reported food debris in galley prep areas, improper storage temperatures, and hygiene lapses among the crew. MSC fixed the violations quickly, and the ship later scored higher, but once that 67 hit the public record, the internet didn't forget. Passenger footage didn't help. One clip shows a buffet line stretching so far down the corridor that people started sitting on the floor, joking they were waiting for boarding group C. Another video shows a guest opening a public restroom stall, pausing, and whispering, "Nope, absolutely not," before backing out like he'd walked into something classified. These moments match what shows up repeatedly in Cruise Critic reviews. Long waits, chaotic dining rooms, and service that feels rushed instead of relaxed. To be fair, not everything is negative. Entertainment reviews are solid, deck areas look great on camera, and Seaside can deliver a good cruise when the ship isn't running at full capacity. But even on perfect weather sailings, the onboard energy often feels tense, more like a resort in overdrive than a getaway. Packed pools, stretched staff, and a level of crowding that doesn't always translate well for North American guests used to smoother logistics. Our verdict: MSC Seaside isn't a disaster, but it's a calculated risk. Book it only if you care more about the destination than the day-to-day experience, and always check the latest CDC inspection score before you sail. Costa Fortuna was once the kind of ship people booked just to feel a little bit fancy. So how did it turn into the vessel longtime cruisers now warn each other about? How does a ship that started as a showpiece of Italian elegance end up feeling like a hotel stuck in 2003? When Fortuna first launched, it had everything going for it. Big dining rooms, glamorous decor, that old-world ocean liner charm. But 2 decades later, passengers say the charm has slowly peeled away. Reviews sit around 2.8 out of 5, and the same frustrations repeat. Maintenance that never seems to catch up, dining rooms stretched too thin, and communication so mixed that guests joke they heard 12 languages in a day and still couldn't figure out what time dinner actually started. And here's the part no one expects. This ship holds fewer than 3,000 passengers, yet many travelers say it somehow feels more crowded than megaships twice its size. Sea days turn into shoulder-to-shoulder marathons. Loungers disappear before breakfast ends. The buffet moves at a crawl. Entertainment venues fill long before showtime. Everything requires an extra step, an extra weight, an extra ounce of patience, and the constant squeeze makes the ship feel smaller than it is. And the age shows everywhere. Carpets worn thin, lights that flicker, plumbing that sometimes behaves like it's on its own schedule. Nothing is disastrous on its own, but when you stack those small annoyances together, the vacation vibe starts slipping. Yet the strangest part is this: Fortuna still has moments of brilliance. The pasta hits the spot, the espresso wakes you up in the best way, and the lounges still carry that warm Italian glow. For a split second, it almost feels like the ship it used to be, until something reminds you it isn't. Fortuna isn't a terrible option if you're chasing a budget itinerary and you know exactly what you're walking into. But if you're expecting the smooth service and refined comfort Celebrity, Royal, or newer Costa ships deliver, this one will leave you wishing you'd booked differently. And if you think Fortuna's decline is surprising, just wait until you see the next ship, because its reputation didn't just fade, it imploded. Some cruise ships carry a few bad reviews. Carnival Sunrise carries a story so infamous that even a $200 million makeover couldn't erase it. So here's the question travelers still whisper about: can a ship ever truly escape a disaster that once made global headlines? Before it became Carnival Sunrise, this ship sailed as Carnival Triumph, and in 2013, a simple 4-day Mexico getaway spiraled into a nightmare. A fire knocked out the engines. The toilets backed up. Air conditioning failed in the Gulf heat. More than 4,000 passengers ended up sleeping on open decks under emergency lights, while crew handed out cold sandwiches. The world renamed it the Poop Cruise. That nickname stuck harder than any rebrand Carnival could attempt. Carnival stripped the ship down in 2019, rebuilt huge sections of it, renamed it, repainted it, refreshed every cabin. And yet, the one thing they couldn't rebuild was its reputation. Today's reviews aren't disastrous, but they aren't comforting either. Passengers still mention plumbing quirks, slow maintenance, and service that flips between cheerful and overwhelmed depending on the day. The issue isn't that Sunrise is broken, it's that any small problem instantly triggers the memory of 2013, even for guests who weren't there. And this creates a strange tension on board. Sunrise has the Carnival spirit, the fun, the energy, the budget-friendly itineraries. But the moment something feels off, travelers start wondering whether they're sailing a ship with more history than they bargained for. Carnival Sunrise isn't the disaster it once was. It's perfectly fine for quick, cheap getaways out of Florida or New York, especially if you already love Carnival's lively vibe. But if you prefer predictability, smoother operations, or a ship that doesn't come with emotional baggage, Sunrise won't be your safest choice. And if you think this story is wild, the next ship proves that a strange layout can ruin a sailing even faster than a bad reputation. Some ships get criticized for long buffet lines. Norwegian Epic got dragged across the internet for a bathroom design so awkward it became a global meme. It leaves you asking a different kind of question. What was happening in that design meeting? When Norwegian Epic launched in 2010, it was supposed to be a futuristic leap-forward Vegas-style shows, a huge water park, and the first ever solo cabins for single travelers. On paper, it looked like the ship that would change everything. But then guests walked into their staterooms and realized the shower was on one side of the room, the toilet was on the other, and both were separated from the bed by nothing but frosted glass and a thin curtain. Couples hated it, families hated it, friends traveling together really hated it, and overnight, Epic became that ship with the weird bathroom. But the design quirks didn't stop there. Reviewers still talk about confusing hallways, elevators that stay packed, and a buffet that hits capacity way faster than you'd expect. And in 2019, a power loss caused Epic to drift into a pier in San Juan, no injuries, but the footage went viral, adding a whole new layer to its reputation. What makes Epic so frustrating is that it's half amazing, half exhausting. The nighttime entertainment is some of the best at sea, big shows, live music, a genuinely fun vibe, but the moment you leave the theater, the design flaws remind you you're on a ship that was ambitious, just not practical. And that's the strange thing about sailing Epic today. You might book it for the shows and walk away happy, or you might spend the whole trip wondering why a ship this massive still feels so cramped and inconvenient. Norwegian Epic isn't a bad time, but it's not the right choice if your cabin is your sanctuary or you value smooth, effortless movement around the ship. Pick it for entertainment, not relaxation. And if you think Epic's bathroom saga is bizarre, just wait. The next ship proves that even a fun, family-friendly vessel can become overwhelming when the crowds outgrow the design. Some ships feel exciting because they're full of life. Independence of the Seas feels full because it's literally too full, and that's the part no one warns you about. And people can't help but wonder, when did this lively ship start feeling like everyone boarded at the exact same moment? Independence of the Seas didn't start as an underdog at all. It used to be one of Royal's bragging rights. A surf simulator, an ice rink, endless family activities. It packed serious wow for its time, and families soaked it up. But once the Oasis-class megaships arrived with smarter layouts and roomier designs, Independence suddenly felt tighter. Not because anything broke, but because the standard for comfort changed. Here's the surprising part. Independence holds fewer passengers than the megaships, but many travelers say it feels more crowded, simply because its older design wasn't built for modern cruise habits. Review after review says the same thing. Buffet lines that crawl, pool decks packed before lunchtime, sun loungers gone by breakfast, and popular venues that hit capacity long before showtime. The crew stays upbeat, the entertainment is solid, and the food is reliable. But none of that can magically create more square footage. So Independence leaves you in this strange middle ground. You get the energy, the shows, the smiles, but you also get bottlenecks, long waits, and a ship that sometimes feels like everyone on board decided to stand in the same place at the same time. Independence of the Seas can still be a great value if you sail during quieter seasons. But if you're traveling during holidays, summer, or school breaks, this ship will test your patience. And if you think crowding alone can derail a cruise, the next ship proves that even a beautifully designed vessel can fall apart when communication and consistency go missing. Costa Deliziosa is the kind of ship that looks like it should deliver pure Italian romance. Yet some cruises feel more like you're trying to relax in the middle of a festival you didn't sign up for. So what throws everything off? The first impression often wins people over shimmering mosaics, warm lighting, show lounges inspired by Venice. It creates this expectation that everything will feel smooth, elegant, almost theatrical. But once the cruise gets going, guests describe a different reality. Lines that move slowly, announcements jumping between multiple languages, and daily schedules that feel slightly out of sync. Even simple things like finding the right dining time or understanding excursion instructions can turn into guesswork. What throws people off isn't one big flaw, it's the constant shift. Deliziosa rotates through European and international routes, so the crowd mix, the languages spoken on board, and even crew assignments change frequently. When that happens, communication isn't always as coordinated as it needs to be, and the whole experience starts to wobble. Passengers talk about waiting in long lines with no clear updates, or rushing to a show only to discover the schedule was changed without proper notice. And then there's the ship's age. Carpets losing their color, hallway lights dimming, cabins that feel more classic than refined, and maintenance that doesn't move as quickly as travelers expect. Entertainment is lively, sometimes overwhelmingly so great for night owls. Not ideal for anyone trying to sleep in a cabin nearby. Yet the strangest part is this. When everything aligns, the right crowd, the right itinerary, the right crew, Deliziosa has moments that remind guests why they booked an Italian-inspired ship in the first place. Pizza that tastes like Naples, espresso that wakes your soul, wine lists that make dinner feel special. It can be magical, just not reliably. Costa Deliziosa is a beautiful ship that struggles with consistency. Travelers who prioritize unique itineraries may still love it, but anyone expecting a smooth, modern, well-coordinated cruise might find it more stressful than soothing. And if you think Deliziosa's unpredictability is surprising, wait until you hear about the next ship, a massive, world-famous vessel that shocked everyone with a sanitation score no one saw coming. You don't expect a ship this huge and this beloved to slip, but Symphony of the Seas managed to shock everyone in a way nobody saw coming. What exactly happened behind those polished hallways that left inspectors raising their eyebrows? Symphony has always been treated like a crown jewel. The neighborhoods, the slides, the boardwalk, the ice shows it's the ship people book years ahead. Everything about it looks engineered for perfection. But during a surprise CDC visit in early 2025, inspectors walked away with an 86 out of 100. Not a failing score, but close enough that seasoned cruisers started asking what went wrong behind the scenes. The issues weren't dramatic disasters. Instead, they were small but serious enough to raise eyebrows. Food handling mistakes in crew areas, sanitation slips in prep zones, and procedural steps not followed. For a ship of this reputation, those small errors were a shock. And here's where it gets complicated. Passengers still rave about Symphony. Many describe it as one of the cleanest, most beautiful, most exciting ships in the world. But others say the ship's sheer size creates its own set of problems. Crowded sea days, elevators packed like rush hour, and popular shows with no seats unless you plan ahead like you're booking a concert. So now Symphony sits in this strange place. It's still a fantastic ship, but the inspection reminded travelers that even the giants can slip, and that world class doesn't mean immune to mistakes. And it leaves you wondering, was that inspection a one-off fluke? Or a sign to pay closer attention? Symphony of the Seas isn't a ship to avoid, but it's a reminder that reputation isn't everything. Always check recent scores and reviews before booking, no matter how legendary the ship is. And if you think a sanitation scare is surprising, wait until you hear about the next vessel, a shiny, brand new MSC ship that somehow manages to feel more crowded than older ships half its size. A new ship is supposed to make everything easier? MSC Seascape somehow made everything feel busier. Passengers keep describing the same strange feeling on Seascape, and it raises a big question. At first glance, Seascape is stunning. The infinity bridge, the glass floor walkways, the panoramic elevators. It's the kind of ship that stops people in their tracks the moment they step on board. But once the excitement fades, reality hits. Guests say the ship feels jammed in places where it shouldn't. The buffet stays packed from morning to night, elevator lobbies clog up fast, and popular venues are full long before events begin. It creates a strange disconnect, a ship that looks open and airy, yet moves like it's short on space. And here's the part no one expects. Seascape isn't old, undersized, or outdated. It's brand new, which means these issues aren't from age, they're baked into the design. Passengers often describe a feeling of being one step behind the entire cruise, waiting for a table, waiting for an elevator, waiting for seats to open up at a show. Meanwhile, the crew tries hard, but service swings between smooth and overwhelmed depending on the time of day. The specialty restaurants get praise, but the main dining room and buffet get mixed reviews, lukewarm dishes, inconsistent seasoning, and plating that doesn't match the ship's glamorous marketing. And yet, just when you start thinking the ship isn't for you, Seascape surprises you with something genuinely memorable, a perfect sunset from the infinity pool, a quiet corner with ocean views, or a VR attraction your kids won't stop talking about. It hints at the ship it could be if the pacing ever caught up. MSC Seascape is undeniably beautiful, but beauty alone can't smooth out a cruise that feels rushed and crowded. If you care more about architecture and photo spots, you'll love it. If you want calm, flow, and effortless service, this ship may leave you wishing MSC had spent less time on glass bridges and more time on passenger movement. And if you think Seascape's design issues are surprising, the next ship proves that age can stretch a vessel so thin that not even a fun atmosphere can hide its fatigue. Carnival Liberty used to feel like the ship that could party forever. Now it feels like the ship that's trying a little too hard to keep up. What happens when a ship built for fun starts showing signs that the fun is wearing on the ship itself? For years, Liberty delivered exactly what Carnival fans loved: energy, music, comfort food, and that unmistakable let's have a good time vibe. Families and friend groups booked it because it was easy, predictable, and reasonably priced. But recent sailings tell a different story. Guests say the ship feels tired, not broken, not unsafe, just worn down in ways that chip away at the experience. Decor fades, carpets thin out, lights flicker, and depending on where your cabin is, the temperature may swing from sauna to meat locker. Here's the part that surprises new cruisers. Liberty did get some updates, just not enough to match what Carnival's newer ships offer. So instead of feeling refreshed, Liberty sits in that awkward middle zone where it's too old to feel modern and too lightly renovated to feel polished. And when Liberty sails full, the age shows even more. The buffet backs up, the pool deck feels like a festival crowd, guest services lines stretch longer than people expect. Entertainment is still fun, but the venues don't have the space newer ships do, so everything feels tighter, louder, and more congested. Passengers describe the feeling as fun, but chaotic, which isn't exactly what you want when you're hoping to unwind. Yet, just when you're ready to write the ship off, Liberty throws you a curveball, an amazing burger from Guys, a hilarious trivia host, or a crew member who remembers your name by day 2. And for a moment, you understand why some longtime Carnival fans still defend this ship. Carnival Liberty isn't a bad cruise, it's simply past its peak. If you know Carnival well and want an affordable, lively escape, it still delivers the basics. But first-time cruisers or anyone expecting a more modern, streamlined experience may walk away feeling like Liberty gave them more bustle than comfort. And if you think Liberty feels worn out, the next ship shows what happens when a once premium vessel stays in service long enough to start slipping behind the competition. Celebrity Summit is one of those ships that still talks like a premium vessel but walks like one that's running out of breath. At what point does a classic premium ship stop feeling classic and start feeling simply old? Summit used to be the ship people booked when they wanted something calmer, more refined, and a step above the loud, family-heavy brands. And for a long time, it delivered. Polished dining, intimate entertainment, a quiet, grown-up vibe. Then, time caught up. Even after Celebrity's big 2019 refresh, passengers noticed that the upgrades were mostly cosmetic. The bones of the ship, the parts that matter most, still felt like they belonged to another decade. Despite being marketed as revolutionized, many guests say the ship still battles the exact issues it had before the renovation. Aging bathrooms, unpredictable AC, damp-feeling cabins, slow maintenance, and public spaces that show their years far more than a premium line should allow. And then there's the dining and entertainment. The main dining room usually holds up, but the buffet often gets called repetitive and bland, not what travelers expect from a brand known for food quality. The entertainment scene is split, intimate acoustic sets are lovely, but the larger shows get compared to something you'd expect on a much cheaper line, especially when guests are used to the spectacle of Celebrity's newer edge-class ships. Yet Summit has something newer ships can't fake, a crew that repeatedly earns glowing reviews. Many passengers walk off the ship saying the staff made their trip even when the hardware struggled to keep up. It creates a strange mix of warmth and frustration. You feel taken care of in a ship that doesn't always take care of itself. Celebrity Summit delivers moments of calm and genuine warmth, thanks mostly to a crew that clearly knows how to elevate a guest's day. But the ship itself tells a different story, one where age quietly overpowers intention. Travelers who love a slower pace may still feel comfortable here, while anyone expecting the sleek polish of Celebrity's newer vessels will notice the gap immediately. And if this contrast feels surprising, the final takeaway of this video will make the picture even clearer. Ship choice doesn't just shape your vacation, it decides the kind of cruiser you become next. No cruise line sets out to build a bad ship, but even the biggest names have vessels that fall behind, wear down, or simply can't keep up with today's expectations. And as you've seen, a ship can be huge, famous, or once considered top tier, and still deliver a trip that feels more stressful than relaxing. If this breakdown helped you figure out which ships match your style and which ones you're better off skipping, do me a favor. Hit the like button so other travelers get the heads up before booking. Subscribe if you want more honest cruise insights. from ship reviews to behind-the-scenes tips that actually make your vacation smoother. And share this with a friend who's planning a cruise, because picking the right ship is half the battle. Your next sailing can be incredible as long as you choose the vessel that deserves your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out on the water.